Malik Willis is awful at picking up blitzes. He will occasionally miss throws and occasionally shows a long release, which I don't love. He'll certainly miss reads at times. He is too cautious with the football and definitely holds on to the football for too long, along with not necessarily having the best pocket presence. So, all that being said, when somebody drafts him, I will sit back and say, you absolutely made the right decision and I will defend it. How is that possible? Well, let's get into it. First off, just stuff like this. It's very simple stuff, but this is what, I guess it's not very simple stuff, but this is what Malik Willis is bringing to the table. So it's zone coverage they're going up against, and it's a bootleg rollout to the right side of the field for the offense. So towards the bottom section of the field, that's how this works. As you see, you're going to see Willis take the snap. He rolls out, and at this point, so there's not a huge window for him to make this throw, right? And he's throwing off balance. However, watch this great throw where it's just pinpoint accurate, off balance, makes the catch, and they're able to get a touchdown out of that. This is what Willis is bringing to the table that, quite frankly, just a lot of these other guys, or I'll say it, none of these other guys you could draft can bring to the table. Something like this, where on this play, it's going to be man coverage, and quite frankly, you saw teams really struggle when they played man coverage against a guy like Malik Willis. It is a bit sort of similar to like how teams would play Lamar Jackson a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson good, just that you could see those similarities. As you see, Willis takes the snap, and you're going to see him get outside the pocket right here, and at this point, what do you do if you're the defender who I put in that box? You could still stay covering the guy who's right in front of you, but if you do that, well, then Willis is going to be able to run and pick up a decent amount of yards. So instead, he plays the run. Willis notices this, throws it downfield, and they pick up a big completion and get the ball inside the 10-yard line. Something like this is another one where what you're going to see on this play is Willis, I'm going to get more into it in a second, but he is going to kind of fail to pick up this pressure right here. There's an unblocked player off the edge, something I feel like Willis probably should have noticed. Like, look at how right when this play begins, he gets through untouched, and Willis is really, even now, not really realizing that it's happening. However, watch him be able to sidestep and still get around him and be able to make something happen out of nothing. He throws the ball down the field, and they're going to get a huge completion like that just because of Willis's athleticism alone. He probably could have picked up the blitz, but you know what? He still made something happen. It's definitely fair to say, well, are you going to be able to get around everybody at the NFL level? And I don't know if he is, but he was able to get around basically everybody at the college level. This one's another one where you look at what's in the box right there. This clearly is going to be or not clearly, but appears to be a cover zero. Someone could drop back into coverage, but basically what this means is that you're going to have 6 players rush the passer. Willis only has 5 offensive linemen blocking in front of him, so this obviously means that somebody is going to get through untouched. And look at how right when this play begins, that is exactly what happens. And again, Willis looks like he's a little bit late at noticing this, but watch what happens. Willis just casually sidesteps him, and then he's going to run, and okay, there's not much here, right? Nope, he still is able to run forward and just pick up a ton of yards. Again, this is what he brings to the table, and it does feel a little bit Kyler Murray-esque. Maybe just a little bit worse than Kyler Murray, but not that much worse. So this is a very valuable asset, and this stuff does work at the NFL level. Maybe it won't work as consistently, but it still will work to some degree. Let's go over to this play now. I want to talk about his, a lot of people have brought up he's not great at processing plays, and there's some truth to that, although I do think it's overblown. But anyways, this is a good just example of kind of that entire thing, of why I think it's overblown, just everything. So it's going to be a quarters coverage play, but with an extra man dropping back into coverage. So just a 3-man rush, 8 players in coverage. Willis's first read is going to be to his left, and as you see on paper, probably not going to get that open, just what you can visually see. Meanwhile, over there to Willis's right, you can kind of see how a crossing route over the middle has a better chance of getting open. So that's what we can tell. So Willis takes a snap and makes the first read, right? Looks to his left as we expected him to do. He is then going to go over and look sort of towards his right, where there kind of is a gap to make this throw, and I feel like he could make this. Now, he doesn't have to, but he could, and this is kind of what I mean when I say he is a bit cautious with the football at times. It doesn't pull the trigger when I wish he would. He could also go through his progressions and get to the check down all the way to, over there, where that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world either. I mean, that's something you could do. Willis doesn't do that. He trusts his legs too much. He's going to run to the outside, which usually isn't great, but then watch how he throws the ball down the field and they pick up a big completion. So that's kind of my thing, is at the end of the day, even on these negatives, good stuff was still happening. And this wasn't even a huge negative, I don't think. Like, he didn't make the throw I would have liked to see him make, but it's not the end of the world. Guys do that, and you can get better at that kind of thing. So that's why that's just a good example of what Willis can do, even if there are some flaws. Of course, there's something like this. It's man coverage, and you see the concept towards the top of the screen. The plus receiver is going to kind of eventually run over the middle, so the other receiver is going to basically be in a true one-on-one matchup, down the sideline, deep down the field. Look at how when Willis takes the snap, you do see over there that it's about to get open, but you can't really tell how much open it is. But Willis is trusting his receiver and trusting his arm strength. As you see, he is going to make a really pinpoint accuracy type throw 35 yards down the field. And also even further because he was throwing from the hash marks towards the bottom of the screen and it was outside the numbers towards the top of the screen. And remember, this is college where the hash marks are different. Something like this is another example of I think, good example of what we're talking about, where there's some plays where you're like, man, what are you doing there, Willis? But then he's still finding ways to make stuff happen. It's again going to be a cover zero, so one-on-ones across the board. You have a couple of receivers running deep routes. Right when this play begins, there's a screw up by the defense. Look at this situation. You have 3 players staying deep with the 2 receivers running deep, but you have another player, this is just a blown coverage, completely wide open underneath. The guy who I've circled right around the 28-yard line, he's wide open, and if Willis hits him, this is like a guaranteed first down. So this is again what we're talking about with, this stuff was issues on tape. Instead, Willis makes a mistake, throws the ball deep down the field, and he makes a perfect throw and they pick up a huge gain. So again, I've always said this, and it's a very true thing. Quarterbacks who make better throws make better decisions, just because your bad decisions don't hurt you as much, and you can still get the ball down the field relatively consistently. A lot of quarterbacks that make quote-unquote bad decisions are rarely super accurate. Willis is accurate. On this play, Willis is going to take the snap, and I think this is going to be another example of coaches are going to look at this and get excited, where nothing's really open, there's pressure coming. What are you going to do if you're Malik Willis? Well, look at how he is able to elude some pressure, and he's going to just stay on his feet, keep the play alive, and eventually throw downfield and get a touchdown out of that. Again, making something out of nothing. He can do that. And will this work at the NFL level? Not as consistently. There's no denying that. But will some of it work at the NFL level? This is what we see some of the best quarterbacks at the NFL level do. This one's another one where, again, he takes the snap, there is pressure, but he gets around it. He's going to be able to run and pick up a big amount of yards. How many times have we seen Patrick Mahomes do this? How many times have we seen Josh Allen do this, or Deshaun Watson? That's what we see when we see our best quarterbacks in the game play. You don't have to do it. Brady's still competing at a high level. Rodgers is still competing at a high level, and he's not the athlete he once was. But the reality is these big-time athletes definitely are still making things work. And this one's another one where, again, there's going to be pressure and he's going to find a way to get out of it. And not just that, but he's going to throw the ball down the field, which I like as well. I think some people have criticized he kind of puts his head down when he runs. Again, not untrue. I have definitely seen it on tape. But what I've also seen on tape is his ability to at times also look down the field and be able to throw the ball down the field. I've seen both things happen. There's no denying that. Also, this one just does such a good job of showing, I think, the arm accuracy, or the arm angle, really. I think that the throwing motion, for the most part, is very good, very compact, which I like, and he can throw off balance, which, of course, I also like, and that's a great example of him being very accurate while throwing off balance. Just good stuff. As for some more typical stuff, like something like this, where what we're going to see is that this is going to be a man coverage play. It's, again, that cover zero, and you see the route that he could try and hit. These are kind of more traditional plays that you will start to see more of at the NFL level, just in terms of what I want to see from him. Is the read open, make the throw at the right time. Timing and making reads is very important at the NFL level. As you see, Willis takes the snap, and he is going to throw with anticipation here a little bit. He does make an accurate throw, puts it right where he needs to, well-timed, all that stuff, just very good from Willis. So I even do see stuff like this, where when the play calls are working and guys are getting open, he is able to make this stuff work, which I think is good. All right, now let's get into some negatives. Because listen, I'm talking very highly of Malik Willis. Some of you might be saying, "Oh wow, do you think Malik Willis is the best quarterback in the draft? Malik Willis should go. Teams should trade up to number 1 to get him." Well, there's some issues on tape as well. I like the positives. I think he's worth the risk, but that doesn't mean there isn't negatives. And he isn't someone who I consider this incredible prospect the way I considered Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence to be a perfect prospect. Now, I still think he has the ceiling of those guys, but I think that his floor is far, far lower. So a play like this, where you see how I have the blocking concept be, going to the left, and if you see looking to the left side of the offensive line, there's, 3 guys who can potentially block the 3 defensive linemen there, but that means that if the other player who's in that area is blitzing, he will get through completely untouched to Willis. Now, there's several things you can do about this. You can change the blocking alignment, like for example, put your halfback over to the left side of you, so that way he can pick up a potential blitz. You could do that if you want to. Or what a lot of guys at the NFL do is, if you don't want to do that because you don't want to mix up the blocking stuff, all you can do is just make sure you read it. And if there is a blitz, well, then you know you have to get rid of the football quickly. As you see, Willis just doesn't notice the blitz until it's too late, tries to get out of it, and ends up getting sacked. And that's definitely something that you feel like will hurt him at the NFL level, is blitzes. Basically what defensive coordinators do with young quarterbacks is blitz the hell out of them until they can figure it out. And it might take Willis a bit to figure it out. Like this one's going to be another one where, again, this time it's not guys right on the line, so a bit more excusable. And also probably should be worth mentioning that guys do have issues with this. Like, this isn't a Malik Willis exclusive thing. A lot of young guys struggle with picking up blitzes. It's something you have to learn. But still, he did struggle with it. And you see those 2 players who I've circled. Watch how when they do blitz, Willis just, I feel like, doesn't pick this up at all and ends up getting sacked right there. So you would like to see him, and this is what I mean, where he holds onto the ball for a bit too long, and you would definitely like to see him get rid of it quicker at times, or just, play a little bit more aggressive at times as well. Like this one's another good example of kind of similar to what I'm talking about, although different, where watch what happens right when this play begins. What you're going to see is that Willis takes the snap and, down the field, nothing's really open. Okay, that happened a decent amount actually at Liberty, so okay, got to figure something else out. Sure. Willis gets outside the pocket. All this stuff, very good. Looking for something downfield. Good stuff. I like it. But at a certain point, you do have to realize, okay, this play isn't working. I got to either get rid of the football or just go down or try to run. You got to make a decision at a certain point. As you see, Willis basically just takes the hit and even somehow gets out of that, but then eventually falls down as a swarm of guys get there. You would love to see him just throw the ball away. If he threw the ball away, that would have been a great play, in my opinion, from Willis. But it's like, at a certain point, you have to cut your losses at times. Doesn't quite always do that too much. So in addition to sometimes playing too cautious, he also doesn't necessarily accept the play as dead at times. It's a thing. And finally, to talk about the accuracy, there were some missed throws too. I would still say his accuracy is a plus, but you saw some missed throws on tape. You did. It's something that happened, and everyone misses throws. I didn't think that his was horrible or anything, but I also wouldn't say he's someone who never misses any throws. I would say it's good, but some of these are bad misses that you would like to see him be able to make. So that's kind of a little bit disappointing. But as a whole, again, I'm not saying that this is a massive negative or anything, but it is something that I've seen people talk about his accuracy as a big positive on tape. It's a positive. I'm not sure if I'd call it a huge positive. So yeah, just kind of my final thoughts once again. Kind of the negatives are his pocket presence could be a little better. He's bad at picking up blitzes and will occasionally miss throws. I didn't talk about the release too much, but it's relatively pretty compact, but sometimes we'll get a little bit longer. He hasn't thrown over the middle too much just in that offense, but I did see him being pretty solid at it when he did, although misses reads at times, is too cautious, and holds on to the ball for too long. The flip side, though, is that, he's a great athlete, has a big arm, can throw far with a big release. I think he's pretty good at improv, despite the fact that he does make the occasional mistakes. I would like to see him just do it a little bit more, quite frankly, and good accuracy. And I think some of his issues with the, being a poor decision maker and stuff, it exists, it's real. I don't think it's as big of a deal as other people make it out to be. So I like Willis. The issues are still the issues, and I think that, if you find someone who loves Malik Willis and finds someone who hates Malik Willis, they're probably going to agree on just about everything about Malik Willis. He's a pretty easy guy to scout, quite frankly. The question is, do you like that quarterback or do you not like that quarterback? And I like that quarterback as a guy to take a chance on. I think it's worth it. So yeah, I think Malik Willis is worth the risk. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.